Welcome back to the channel. Of course, this is the Jamaica Mix, and I am your host, Mr. B. Today, we're going to tackle one of the most troubling questions facing Jamaica in the aftermath of the Hurricane Melissa, and more specifically, the aftermath of the Montego Bay floods that basically has been associated with the hurricane itself. Now, the question is, was this truly a natural disaster, or was it something that was far more preventable? Now, for the record, during the storm, 3 rivers and the storm surge associated with the hurricane buried Catherine Hall and West Green under mud and debris. And of course, the Daily Gleaner in Jamaica published a story a couple of days ago where the mayor of Montego Bay, I think his name is Mayor Vernon, is touring the area and talking about the mounds of or thousands of pounds of tons of debris that they have been disposing of. But the reality is nobody's seemingly addressing the plight of the residents who have suffered as a result of this the disaster meted out on the respective communities. And of course, residents have been describing how the Pye River, Barnett River, and Montego River and the sea all converged during the hurricane, dumping mud, silt, and debris into their communities. Apart from the fact that many are complaining that the cleanup has been far too slow, which is where the PR response from the mayor seems to have taken place, but it isn't appeasing the residents. Now, let us put the thing into perspective. And again, if this is the first time tuning in on this channel, we ask you to like the content and share. And if you haven't done so, just subscribe to the channel so when we drop more of this kind of information, you're among the first to know. Now, in the mere hours, floodwaters from the combination of these 3 rivers and the storm surge tore through the communities, and in the process it swept away homes, vehicles, and decades of investments for hundreds of residents in these communities. For the families that lived in the neighborhoods, the destruction was both physical and psychological. Now, while many described this disaster as God's doing, engineering experts have essentially come forward and are stating that, essentially they are raising red flags. They're pointing out that the Montego River does not behave in this way, not unless something upstream has changed. And so this brings us to the crux of today's discussion. Now, one expert, Mr. O. Dave Allen, has gone on record pointing out that the China Harbor Engineering Company, CHEC, CHEC, the contractor behind the Montego Bay Bypass Project. According to Allen, CHEC breached key components of the city's flood control system: gabion baskets, protective berms, drainage channels, structures that had protected Montego Bay for decades. These were not accidental protections, according to Mr. Allen. They were engineered systems designed by Jamaicans who understood the Montego River's temperament. Allen puts it bluntly that this wasn't an act of God. It was a man-made catastrophe, and I want us to allow that to sink in. Not natural, not divine, but avoidable. Now, even if CHEC is at fault, they don't operate in a vacuum. Major construction projects cannot reshape waterways without plans being reviewed and approved. And that responsibility falls squarely on the St. James Parish Council, which is the local planning authority. Now, under Jamaican law, the Parish Council has a duty to properly assess developmental plans, evaluate hydrological and environmental risks, ensure that foreign contractors meet engineering standards, and finally enforce compliance throughout construction, which means that at every phase of the work being done by the contractor, they are supposed to be examining, reviewing the activities of the construction company. Now, if the council approved flawed designs, if they ignored warning signs, and if they failed to monitor the construction of the bypass road, then they may also be liable for the losses suffered by the homeowners. This is not just rhetoric. What I'm stating here is a legal reality. The short answer is, to the question of if the homeowners can sue, the short answer from where I'm looking at it says yes, they may have a strong case. Homeowners who have lost everything could pursue claims against, firstly, CHEC for negligence, nuisance, and altering flood systems in a way that caused foreseeable harm. And secondly, against the parish council for failing in its statutory duty to protect residents by properly vetting and supervising the project. Now, this could take the form of perhaps a class action suit where multiple affected homeowners come together. In other Commonwealth jurisdictions, we have seen where similar lawsuits succeed when public authorities failed to prevent avoidable disasters. And it's important that, the stressing of the Commonwealth, because we are members of the Commonwealth, and the legal the legalities are the same. The responsibilities, the processes are the same. But beyond legal liability, though, this disaster exposes a deeper truth about governance in Jamaica. We're still far too eager to rush into billion-dollar projects without the environmental checks and balances required to safeguard communities. Time and again, oversight takes a backseat to political urgency. Foreign contractors operate with far too much latitude. Local authorities either lack the expertise or the courage to challenge engineering decisions. And the Jamaican people, the ordinary citizens, wind up paying for these failures with their homes, their savings, and in too often at times, their lives. This cannot continue. As Montego Bay rebuilds, the country must confront a difficult question. Will there be accountability, or will this disaster just fade into the background like so many others? Because while storms are natural, keep in mind that disasters rarely are. Disasters are usually the predictable outcome of negligence, of decisions made in boardrooms, in council chambers, and on construction sites. If Jamaica does not demand accountability now, then the next disaster is not a matter of if, but a matter of when. Let me thank you for listening. Until next time, I'm going to just invite you all to stay safe, stay informed, and of course, stay vigilant. And again, as we roll into the throes of the hurricane rehabilitation and programs and the efforts to put relief together for the people who have suffered, let me just invite you again to, wherever you can, to support these efforts, because believe me, it is disastrous, and I don't see Jamaica walking away from this in the short period. This is going to be a very, very long effort. If you like the commentary, I'm going to invite you to hit the like button, clang the notification bell, so when we drop new material, you are advised. And if you have not yet done so, again, I'm going to invite you to subscribe to the channel. Until we put the next video out, Mr. B saying, have a great day wherever you are.